Hi, it's natural Jules time. Well, you know the rest.
He's one mellow ass, healthy ass, respectable, chauvinistic, pacifistic son of a bitch.
Today I thought I'll talk to you about something that I have already sort of touched upon on so many different videos of the past. You can check them out. But it's about one of the most important species in the Finnish forests. The species which scientific name is Populus tremula. I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, it's Latin. But it means in English shivering popple, or shivering cottonwood, or trembling cottonwood, or anything like that. And the name originates from which you can now hear. Yes, of course, it is the aspen. Now the shivering sound is made by its leaves, more to the point the stem of the leaf, because it is very thin on the other end, so it's when the wind blows it moves rather easily, and when it hits the other leaves surrounding it, it makes that sort of shivering and waving sound. It is the only popple tree that we have here in Finland, and we used to make shingles out of it for our roofs and all the other purposes. And then very early days we used to carve small rafts from the huge trunks. But the most important thing about the aspens is not what we make of it, it's what the surroundings make of it. A key species. And when I talk about key species, I truly mean it. It has been known to call a tree of life, and it truly is, because there's about 1,000 different living things living around nearby the aspens. 150 of those species are endangered, and 120 of them are completely dependent upon the aspen. Hundreds and hundreds of different species of animals and plants and algae living on the aspen. As you can see, there's a moss, different types of moss. There's a lichen here, and there are mushrooms. You name it, they are here. And even when it's dead and decaying, like this one here is, first of all, when it falls down, the bark on its trunk, it's very important nutrient for the rabbits, hares and deers and moose. In the winter time they can browse there on the branches and eat the bark. And then there are 1,500 different invertebrates living in the different stages of its decay. Now the beetles alone are somewhere approximately about 350 different species that live close by, and 60 different species that are completely reliant on the aspen. The list goes on and on. It's just mind-boggling how diverse the environment around huge aspens can be. Then most visible obviously are the vertebrates, which include many different types of birds which nest in the aspen, because the aspen grows rapidly. Its tree matter is very white and very light as well, so it's easy for the woodpeckers and tits, well, grow up, to peck holes in it. And even furthermore, whilst it rarely lives over 100 years or so, it's known to be about 200 or so years. In about 60 years of its age, it has reached its full length, and then it starts to grow width. When they grow old, inside of the aspen starts to hollow out, and after a woodpecker has done its spit in the hole, it discards it and moves on to other aspens to make another hole. And then when the empty hole is left there, owls and most importantly, the flying squirrels start to come and nest in its trunk. And the tree trunk itself, it's very high on pH, so it's not as acidic as the most of the trees here in Finland is. So it's important for the lichens, different types of lichens. Here you can see aspen's leaves are known to have a really high concentration of calcium in it. So it's important to snails and mollusks. They can create their cells from them, calcium inside. The leaves are actually very broad, so many types of insects can use it to wrap around its cocoon or its larva state or what have you, to shelter it from the freezing temperatures of winter. Now aspen gets its leaf coverage very late in the summer, and that is no problem with aspen, because if you look closely to its trunk, here you can see it's tinting a little bit to the green. It can breathe through its skin of its trunk, photosynthesize, so it doesn't need leaves other than later in the summer. And the shivering thing, the why it shivers its leaves, why it has evolved to do that, there are some debates of why it is, but I think the most popular understanding now is that when it shivers like that, it creates a sort of like flow of air, which then helps it evaporate more water more efficiently. And when it does that, when it evaporates water from its leaf, it creates suction from its roots, and it lifts more nutrient-rich water from its roots up in its trunk and in its leaves. So it gets more nutrients in it that way. So whatever you do, if you own a forest or you work in the forest industry or whatever you do, when you come across the aspen, the forests which are rich in aspen, just don't touch it. You can make because aspen is it cannot compete. It is a pioneer species. It comes first to the clear-cut area. It starts to grow. It is very rare that because the aspen actually has got a male and a female trees, which is rare, that one as well. One hosts male parts and the other hosts female parts, and they cross-pollinate. The male pollinates and then the seeds form in the female part, and then the wind spreads them around, and they are very light, the seeds of aspen. And the lightness means that they don't have a reserve, energy reserve, the nutrient reserve in its seed at all. So it spread by wind, and if it doesn't lay on the very nutrient soil, such as, for example, after a forest fire, when there's ash and coal and whatnot on the forest floor, then it can sprout there using the nutrients on the soil. But since we don't have that much now, the most important way of spreading the aspen is via its roots. Now the huge old aspens can have something like 250 kilometers of roots spreading all around, spreading about 40 meters in each direction. And from its roots rises these small root sprouts, which are genetically identical to this mother tree, which means, of course, they are clones. But as often, their surroundings shape their appearance so that they don't resemble the mother tree really at all. So they clone, and even if the forest fires come and destroy this mother tree, all its clones, it still survives here in the forest floor. And once again, the forest fire creates nutrient-rich soil where the pioneer trees, such as aspen, can grow, and it grows rapidly from the root sprouts. Whatever you do, always leave aspens alone. If something you might wanna, actually at this point, you might wanna cut some of the spruces and birds and pine trees. Anything that is shadowing it, because it needs much light. So take some spruces off and let it grow, let it get vast, because nature, Finnish forests truly need vast, huge old aspens, which we now lack. Let's see, what else did I have to say about that?